Division. Review. Are you making good templates or bad templates? And what do we have here? This is meant to be a tank, by the way, but it's not really a tank. Look at this. Does this look like a tank to you? It looks like a mech, doesn't it? Anyway, it has got speed 7.8 kilometers per hour. Armor 75. That's actually kind of decent, to be honest with you. And he's gone for the Radio Mark III. This is another example of a tank that doesn't have a lot of breakthrough. So therefore, adding the extra 60% breakthrough you get from a Mark III engine really doesn't benefit that much. Hey, it's okay. I'll give you that. I would get rid of the radio though, and I'd probably try and sacrifice some of the modules. Let's say for armor, for instance. And this is the division that it gets used on. Oh, and the speed is a complete waste of time because it's only 4 kilometers per hour. So all those speed modules were just kind of a waste. I like the soft attack though, and I guess I like the fact there's 100 anti-air on there as well. I don't know, anti-air is one of those stats that I think it feels like it makes the biggest difference if you're in that situation where you don't have a competent air force. Which in most of my games, I don't tend to make a lot of air force. That's the reason why I rely so much on it and on air attack. I personally think you don't even need that battalion of anti-air here. I think there's enough of it on the tank itself to be required. However, on hindsight, you really don't need the speed here. All these speed elements added to these tanks is a complete waste of time. Unless you're going to make a tank later on and replace these maybe with motorized, for instance. That's the one instance that would apply. But there's a lot of extra production there wasted on speed. Next up, we have a fighter plane with cannons on it. This is something I don't do anymore because you lose agility, which I don't like because you lose dogfighting ability. The only reason you'd want to put cannons on a plane is it would trade better at taking down heavier bombers that have got high armor. So you kind of have to know in advance that the person you're playing against or the AI you're playing against has got high air defense to put cannons on it to counter it. But overall, it's got some really good air defense. And to be fair, this would make a really good dogfighter, even with the fact that it's lost some agility. I would really like to say this versus a plane without the cannons. Just the same thing against another one with the cannons. I presume the agility would give it the edge. But would the air attack be overkill? I don't know. Next up, we have more cannons. More! Also machine guns on the side, also keeping the cost down. And you got self-sealing, extra range, Mark III. Once again, this is probably a really good interceptor, anti-bomber aircraft with questionable trading abilities against other fighters. However, once again, I think one of the issues sometimes you run into is you tend to find yourself with like so many planes that you're like, oh, Dave, I'm winning anyway. Well, of course you're winning. I mean, you're fighting against really weak planes and you've got like 1,000 of these. Of course you're winning. But it doesn't really make it a fair test. Guys, if you want to check out my other videos showing off some of the fair tests we've done when I did the YouTube plane design video, give that a look and you get an idea of what makes a good bomber and makes a good fighter. Be aware there's been a few patches since then, so some of the stats that are shown on screen might not apply anymore. This is an interesting design, and I think they've gone wrong here. So, of course, the air attack is fantastic. And I also like the fact it's got a Mark III engine, which I think is required, yeah, because look at the weight to thrust ratio. It can only just take off. And he's gone for triple armor plate. So this is the heaviest fighter plane when it comes down to armor plating that you're ever going to get. Impressive. However, the range on this aircraft is poor. And that's the reason why one of these armor plates is usually replaced with a self-sealing fuel, because it doesn't reduce the range of the aircraft. And then usually replace one of these with drop pods, which gives it like over 1,000 kilometers of range. The problem with this plane is it's going to take a big penalty to air efficiency just the fact it's limited range, so it's just not worthwhile making this. Once again, if you are fighting in a very small air zone, let's say Benelux, this plane will excel and will dominate. However, in its current format, outside of Benelux, it's not going to do too well. An example will be pushing from, let's say, northwest Egypt into like the core of Egypt. You're going to have 0% efficiency because of the big range with that one. That's the reason why some people bang on about range as an important stat. It is what it is, and this is an example of it done a little bit better. In this case, this is built for dogfighting because it's got max agility. There's nothing reducing the agility. To top it off as well, you've got the drop pods for extra range. It's strange they've not gone for self-sealing though. The only one of the big downsides of self-sealing fuel modules is it increases the rubber production cost. So if you are access and you've not got access to rubber, this can hurt you in the long run. Ship! Wow. It's a super heavy battleship as well. It's got it's got 5 batteries on it, 4 anti-air batteries, a single dual-purpose battery. Normally the way you want to build these is you want to build them with as heavy as possible HP and armor. So they do turn into like these meat shields. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this ship. It's nice to build and be like, wow, I've just built the biggest ship in the world. You've technically built the Titanic. Ooh, foreshadowing. Oof, oof. I mean, Also foreshadowing all of these super heavy battleships that Japan made ended up getting sunk. So it's not a good fate overall, is it? The problem with these ships is that they take a lot of damage and they're in port for 6 months repairing. And I feel like it defeats the purpose of this kind of ship. And it also is going to take you a straight 3 years to even produce this too. It's a lot, boys. It's a role play ship. That's all I'm going to say. What do we got here? We have a tank destroyer. I hate that model. I think it looks awful. So it's got the heart attack booster here. I can't remember what this is called. It gives you extra heart attack and extra piercing. He's gone for a budget here because it's got okay armor and okay breakthrough. But it's mostly focusing on the piercing and the heart attack. And wow, the piercing's good. 178 piercing. So this is your anti-tank, basically. The tank destroyer. Also coming along for the joyride is the soft attack based tank with very little armor. I have a funny feeling these are optimized for multiplayer because of the low armor seems to be a reoccurring theme for tanks in multiplayer, focusing mainly off the soft attack capabilities. And then this is the division. 40 width is very good. Also, we have light tank Recon. Okay, wouldn't be my first choice. It has the tank destroyer plugged into, giving it a massive piercing of 104, armor of 32. Armor's a little bit on the low end, actually. If this is made in 1936, I'll be okay with that. By the looks of things, this isn't not 1936. No, this is medium tank chassis. So once again, this is tank division is really missing out on the armor, which I personally feel like if you're going to make a tank, you're doing it for speed, you're doing it for breakthrough, you're doing it for armor. So to feel like you're lacking on the armor side just seems kind of pointless to me. Overall, it pierces well. It hits hard with a hard attack. There is one massive flaw of this tank, though. The biggest flaw of them all. What is the flaw? Tell me. It has no logistics. It's a big division. The supply is almost 4 supply just for this one division. You stack 2 of these babies on top of each other, you're going to have low supply. It's going to cause problems. You need logistics on this to reduce the supply by at least 40%. Overall, this division is severely lacking when it comes down to anything that could reduce its overall supply. Everything else, I'm not too fussed about. Everything else looks pretty good. I have a feeling they've made this as kind of almost like a defensive anti-tank division with the way it's got engineers on it and lots of piercing and hardness. That's kind of like it feels like that's what it's been made for. And that's its purpose. Tank! So this is a late game tank because we've got advanced tank chassis. It's got the auto loader, extra ammo, sloped armor, radio 3. I hate these kind of tanks because I feel like you're making a dream tank and you're not making a realistic tank. The production cost is okay though. 34 production cost. It's okay. It's okay. Cast armor. I mean, there's 2 issues with it. I feel like there's a lot of ways you can make this tank a lot cheaper and it would still be combat effective with armor and breakthrough and soft attack. But one of the biggest issues I'm finding is the reliability is bad. If this is used as a part of a division with over 100 of them, you're going to burn through these from breaking down. This is basically a tiger tank trying to get up a hill. F. Now we have a medium version. I feel like this is the same guy who's made this. The armor's good. Okay, now we're moving in the right direction. Look, the production cost is 17. That is realistic. And to top that off as well, the reliability is 72. This is usable as a part of a large division with multiple numbers of them. Otherwise, there's not much point. Oh my goodness. What do we have here? The armored car. Armored cars are weird. They add HP to a division, but they take away AUG, where a normal tank division would remove both, where you had it back on with infantry. But armored cars do kind of half that. I do think they do work really well for suppression. But when it comes down to putting them in divisions, I just don't see the point. The soft attack's on the low end. The breakthrough is horrendously low as well. Armor of 4.7, it's just kind of pointless. This is a meme. It's a meme. I do think there's some practical use for this, but all of the stats of armored cars, it kind of feels like having mechanized in division, but nothing else, you know? So then in that case, what would be the point? I feel like the stats would be too low for everything to even care. It feels like a mechanized supplements your tank division by adding extra stats. Or an armored car, I don't know what an armored car does. What does it do? I don't know. The truth is you couldn't pair an armored car with a tank because you'd basically have no organization. The HP would be okay though. The one exception to this rule is Armored Car 4. The one that's like an icon on Armored Car 3. And that adds the anti-tank armored car. So it's got basically an anti-tank gun on top of the armored car, which does really high hardness. And it also has very high piercing and hard attack. And what you can do then is add it on as a support recon, which surprisingly doesn't have that. And that would add, obviously, more of those stats for piercing and hardness and whatnot. I don't think it adds hardness, actually, no. Every part of my body wants to say, I want this to work, but it just wouldn't. It just wouldn't. Okay, last one. We have the medium Ram Mark 1 improved medium chassis. So we're focusing towards an anti-tank model here. Oh, but no, that's a normal medium improved medium cannon. However, he's gone for the extra piercing and hard attack with 99 piercing. Okay, that's pretty good. Extra machine gun 2, 130 reliability. Okay, there's no point going over 100 reliability. Doesn't help you anymore. To be fair, 99 is the maximum you should go to. So what I would do in this case is probably add a little bit more armor on here to reduce the reliability. That will, however, increase the production cost. So it is not a net plus. There is a bit of a downside to it. However, the production cost is only 14.6. So for a 1936 tank, this is actually pretty decent. Oh, it's not 1936 though. It's a medium chassis, so it's at least 1940. For a 1940 tank, this tank is lacking armor. But what can we expect? It's a British tank. Damn. And this is the tank itself. 42 combat width. We have a mixture of mechanags and mediums. Very high hardness. Ooh. The only time this tank is going to struggle in combat if it's facing, for instance, a tank that's similar to it in stats. Like another tank division. Against infantry, it's going to do really well. Due to the fact that it's got higher hardness and all the soft attack is mostly ignored. Breakthrough is fantastic. Armor's decent. The only downsides to it is it's the big division. It's 42. And once again, it doesn't have access to logistics. I like the fact that he's thought about the anti-air as well by adding on 22. Honestly, a lot of little things that could be improved upon. But for the most part, this is a tank that is completely functional and making pushes into infantry. However, probably wouldn't do very well against its peers fighting another tank division. Definitely. Did you enjoy Division Reviews? Go to www.discord.gg/feedbackgaming and join the Discord and submit your template reviews, and they might be featured on the next template review. If you enjoyed this video, give this one a click next. I'll see you soon.